call him the P.T. Barnum of the museum business. He's truly an exceptional person, and when he told me this, I said, well, you know, this is a pretty big thing. He told me what the budget was about. You know, I couldn't believe it, but we did it, you know. Anyway, I want to thank David because he recognized something about my father's work that I think is now, thanks to this this particular exhibit, is going to be recognized. He always talked about the fact that for a project to be successful, it had to be a pertinent project for many, many years. It couldn't just be kind of a flash in the pan and then it doesn't do anything. And once the only time I ever he got mad at me, we were sitting in his office in Urbana Square, which is a red barn down in Newport. And I said, Dad, you know, you got the greatest job in the world here with this master plan at Irvine. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, nobody's going to know if you were good, you were successful or not for 25 years. And then when we were talking about the Transamerica building when it was being built, and I noticed the shape of it, and I remembered the recession and the depression of '29, and you know, if there were people in the building when another depression hit, I said, Dad, can you put some handles along the side of the wall so that as they're jumping out they can think about it a little bit. And he wasn't really happy about that. But he really, truly believed that he would be judged, not on what he did that day, but what he did. And we're talking about some projects that are as much as 70 years old. The LA airport was built in 1952, and it was built on this, and here it is today, and the footprint hasn't changed. Most airports expand outward. This expanded inward and upward, and that was his design because he couldn't do anything else. So now it's getting a little crowded, but but basically it was that was kind of this
Pereira's architectural career spanned architectural history.
That picture is taken at the inaugural flight of Air Cal, where I was one of the founders of Air Cal.
In architectural history
I didn't think he would risk getting in a plane that I was responsible for San Francisco, but he did. At any rate, most of these projects are projects that are anywhere from 70 to 50 to 40 years old, and they're just as important today, and the designs are every bit as current today as they were so many years ago, and I think that's going to be his contribution, and this particular exhibit is going to contribute mightily to that, we hope. And in addition to David, who's responsible for this, and I think he's amazing, my friend Colin Robinson over here, I'm sure knows more about my father than I do. And he is, I don't know what's going to happen. I guess maybe after this is over with, you're going to go to a desert island or someplace rather to unwind. But basically, he is absolutely, he is a student of architecture. He is a fabulous worker. He's a devoted to what he's doing. And when you see the book, which I don't know, David, is it for sale in the... Well, he put the book together, and it's absolutely fabulous. And there aren't very many of them, just 750 of them. So they could be collector's items. So get in on the ground floor, folks. So, anyway, I want to thank all the sponsors that have made this happen. The staff at this museum are absolutely first class, and they've done a wonderful job and made Susan and I feel very much at home here. And now I'm going to introduce my sister, Monica, who will regale you with personal anecdotes about our father.
I need notes, sorry. I want to quote Mark Twain, "The man with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds." And I think that sums up Dad pretty well. Dad was a man with extraordinary vision, which I am now only beginning to appreciate. And as his ideas and his master planning are now seen in retrospect. He envisioned jumbo jets carrying 300 to 400 passengers back in the 1950s. When designing LAX, he tried to tell the city council that they needed to put a satellite airport in Palmdale and then shuttle passengers to LA. Well, they thought he was crazy. He said this would be the only way to handle the huge increase in airline traffic. He also suggested a double-deck airport for the arrivals and departures of passengers. No one else had had this vision until 25 years later, when he was called back in a joint venture to put in an upper deck at the LA airport. If you have been to Beverly Hills, you may or may not have seen the strange gas station on the corner of Little Santa Monica and Crescent Drive. Dad designed that to go with the airport. He was mortified that Fred Hartley, the head of Union 76, wanted to put it in Beverly Hills. He loved airplanes and loved to watch them take off and land. We spent a lot of evenings at the Proud Bird restaurant at LAX watching the planes come in. He finally bought a plane and painted it black and white. WP1 were the call letters. Dad's favorite color was black. His clothes, our swimming pool, his cars, and even the Dymo tape that he labeled everything in the house with had to be in black. As you now see, the Transamerica building was originally designed in black. It was designed to be the ABC headquarters in New York City. Stuart Davis, the head of Great Western Savings and Loan, was finally able to persuade the people in San Francisco to build the pyramid as their headquarters. But before Transamerica was accepted in San Francisco, they made Dad cut off 160 feet off the top. At the end of the day, Mom always said it was her idea of the pyramid, and she was always a bit annoyed that he took credit for it. Another of his passions was sailing, a black boat, of course, called Pagasa. The family dreaded those trips to Catalina. But Dad was in his element. I know we made it miserable for him. There was more than one disaster. One time, Dad pushed us off from the dock, but he didn't make it on board. What did Bill and Mom and I know about getting the boat back to the dock? If we had any kind of weather, my poor mother would start to scream, "Bill, you know what saltwater does to the rugs." The rest of us were hanging on to the boat for dear life. Bill was so bored he ran us aground one time. Poor Dad. So when Howard Amundsen asked Dad to be part of the crew on the Transpac trip race to Hawaii in 1961, Dad was ecstatic. It was an all-star crew, including Dr. Norman Topping and other notables, all over 50 years old. Dad was in charge of the food. He took his job very seriously and meticulously labeled everything with his Dymo tape, including which day, which meal, and what was in each container. But with the first storm, all the labels washed off, and they never knew what they were going to eat. Oh. I also heard they ran out of food towards the end and were stuck eating saltine crackers. Dad came off the boat in Hawaii saying it was a young man's race, and he was cured. Daddy was a master at presentations. You never really wanted to present before my father. One story was about a presentation Frank Gehry made. It was quite good, and then Dad came into the room, congratulated Gehry, and then said, "That was wonderful. Did you know he was a student of mine?" I always told my father he was a genius, and that was why he was eccentric. He could never figure out if that was a compliment.
Good evening. My name is Colin Robertson. I'm the charter Charles N. Mathewson Curator of Education, which means that in my day job, I run a lot of the programming of this museum and oversee a lot of the enterprise in which children and adults come to learn about art in this museum. And in the last the last couple of years, and in particular in the last 10 months, I've had the great privilege and honor to be really ingratiated in a project that is of just great joy to me and great love. It is a project that I have learned enormously from and about, and I'm delighted to have been a part of it. I have really learned a great deal from Bill Pereira and about William L. Pereira in the course of this exhibition. And I want to just point your attention to this beautiful catalog. Designed by my very good friend and colleague Amanda Tennant, with art direction by Aldous Azolans, who has been working with our friend and colleague Nick Hafermas very hard over the last several months to make this exhibition a reality. It is beautiful, it is wonderful, and I'm so happy to see so many people here this evening celebrating the work and life of a figure who has been under-recognized for a whole variety of reasons that I think this exhibition tries to make a little bit of an effort to rectify. And William Pereira is he's one of 12 architects ever featured on the cover of Time magazine. And that's really kind of remarkable. People like Richard Neutra, Philip Johnson, and Frank Lloyd Wright are among the other 11. And I think that it is arguably true that William Pereira is one of the least well-remembered architects of our time, and yet someone who has articulated and made architectural gestures of place and space in our culture that everyone has been touched by. How many people have been in this room through the Los Angeles International Airport? Wow. It might be better to ask how many people have not. And when William L. Pereira began the master plan with his partner Charles Luckman of the LAX airport in 1952 approximately, it was 5 years away from having had a gravel runway. And he was assigned the task of creating the design for an airport 30 years later, which would accommodate approximately 18 million anticipated passengers through the airport. In 1980, that same year, in fact, 33 million people went through the airport. And it is really quite astonishing, actually, that the facilities that he created were flexible enough to accommodate the change that that exponential growth in service made. And I think that our concept for this exhibition to present William Pereira's work as this kind of futuristic thinking is the basis of the idea of this exhibition. And that has been a real joy and a real privilege to help shape and to contribute to that in a small way. Part of this project, I want to just acknowledge a couple of people in particular. David Walker, the brilliant director of this museum, placed a great deal of trust in me to make this exhibition a reality, and I am extremely gratified and grateful for that opportunity. I have enjoyed this experience immensely. I'm really tired. But it has been wonderful, and I have learned enormously from not only David, but from some very valued and appreciated colleagues. In particular, Joanne Northrup, who is the Director of Contemporary Art Initiatives here at the museum, who has made every effort to help me see the end of the road for this exhibition and the beautiful experience that you've seen here this evening. I couldn't have asked for better support and help. Thank you. I also want to say that Nick Hafermas, who I will say a few more things about here in just a few minutes, is someone who I've known now for almost 5 years and who has been a part of the design of many of our most important exhibitions over the last 4 years. And he is a brilliant designer, a brilliant thinker, and someone who creates spaces within spaces of exhibitions that shape people's experience in ways that are memorable and that stick with you over the long haul. And I think that that's one thing that museums are really good at doing if they are successful. They leave you with memorable experiences, and the testament to that in this exhibition is that William Pereira's architecture left people everywhere with memorable experiences of place and buildings and spaces of many different kinds. And Nick's design for this exhibition has that same effect, and I think that those are extremely valuable and very parallel interests. And I have been delighted to work with him through this whole process. One especially lovely feature of this exhibition is a turn that it took about 8 months ago in the direction of incorporating contemporary art by artists whose work has been inspired by, or inflected by, or in response to the architecture and planning of William Pereira. And a couple of those people are in the room tonight. Deborah Aschheim, whose beautiful work, drawings and sculptures are on display upstairs. I haven't known Deborah for very long, but I know only Deborah as the other person who has been so deeply engaged in the mind of William L. Pereira as I have been. And I feel like a kindred spirit is in the room when Deborah is here. And Benjamin Ball, who you met earlier this evening, designed this wonderful installation of the Transamerica Pyramid hanging in our beautiful atrium space. And Benjamin walked through the door of this museum less than 10 months ago to give a lecture as part of a program I coordinated here last September. And all of the work that you see hanging above us has been the result of conversations happening since that time. And that is a remarkable feat, really, and someone who I've got to know over those 10 months very well, and who I appreciate and respect immensely. This has been a joy to be a part of. Thank you so much, Ben. In addition to the catalog, this exhibition is accompanied by a 30-minute documentary film of the same title, Modernist Maverick, The Architecture of William L. Pereira. And this is a project that I've been engaged in simultaneously co-producing with a very good friend and colleague, Dave Santina, at KNPB, Channel 5 Public Broadcasting. And he and I have drunk a lot of wine, late nights at my house, editing and making this 30-minute feature something that we, I think, are very proud of, and I hope that will resonate in your experience. You'll see it on the air throughout August, September, and early October in the Reno market, and we anticipate in San Francisco, San Diego, and PBS SoCal markets as well. And what I have to present to you here this evening is just a 5-minute sort of sneak peek of the premiere of that documentary, which will occur here tomorrow evening at 5:30, right before the members premiere of the exhibition. So watch these 5 minutes, and I think you'll get a flavor for what we think of William L. Pereira 30 years after his passing.